Okay. So we're here again. Another paper, AQA paper 1. It's a non-calculator paper for June 2022. And you know the drill. So what we're going to be doing, the question is going to show up first. And then the solution shows up, followed by an explanation of my thoughts on how you should be thinking about the question, breaking it down to get to the answer, and what topic should be coming to mind in regards to the question. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, question 1. Which of these is the equation of a straight line? Circle your answer. It's y equals x minus 6. If you follow the general equation of a straight line, y equals mx plus c, x has a power of 1. It's invisible, but it's a power of 1. That has a power of 2, that's x squared, that's x squared. Those two are not equations of a straight line. And the third one, that's a reciprocal of x, 1 over x, or by indices, x to the power of minus 1. So it doesn't have x to the power of 1, so it's not the equation of a straight line. It's supposed to have x to the power of 1. So by elimination, eliminate all these three. This is the only option. Okay? But that's how you pick. Use the general equation of a straight line to decide. Okay, question 2. What is 0.28 as a fraction of 0.8? Circle your answer. Okay, 0.28 as a fraction of 0.8 is 0.28 divided by 0.8. If you can't do it as a decimal, which I don't know why you would want to, multiply both by 100, so you turn them to whole numbers. So if you do it to the top, you do it to the bottom, which is 28 over 80, and you reduce that fraction by 4, gives you 7 over 20. Okay? And question 3. Circle the calculation that increases 240 by 7.5%. Percentage increase. Finding the multiplier for a 7.5% increase is basically 1 plus that percentage number divided by 100. So that'll be 1 plus 0.075. That'll be 1.075. That's the multiplier. So to find that increase, 240 times 1.075. Okay? Make sure you check properly so you don't pick the wrong one even though you have the right process. Okay? Because the numbers are purposely put together to look the same. If you're in a rush, you might just miss it. Okay? Okay, question 4. Circle the reason why the triangles are congruent, which means exactly the same. RHS has been circled. Okay? That is because you have a right angle in both triangles. You have one side that's the same, and you have the other side, which is the hypotenuse or the longest side. So R, right angle, hypotenuse, and another side. Okay? Please, it's not SAS, it's not two sides and an angle. Two sides and an angle is when you have two sides, and the angle you have is in between the two sides. Okay? It's not two angles and a side, you don't have two angles shown. Okay? And it's not three sides because you don't have three sides. Okay? Okay, question 5. Work out 80 million divided by 200. So that's 8 and 7 zeros divided by 200. Give your answer in standard form. So you divide that. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 7 zeros, 2 zeros cancel out. 5 zeros remain. So that's 400,000. So the standard form, count the decimal point back 5 times to get that number in a range of 1 to 9. Okay, so that's 4.0 times 10 to the power of 5. Okay, question 6. Okay, work out 3 to the power of 12 divided by 3 to the power of 7. Give your answer as a whole number. So that's 3 to the power of 12 minus 7, so that's indices because you're dividing with the same base, you subtract the powers. 12 minus 7, that's 5, so that's 3 to the power of 5. As a whole number, 3 times 3, that's 9, times 3, 27, times 3, 81, times 3, 243. Okay. Part B, simplify 8 times 2 to the power of 6 times 2 to the power of 4. Give your answer as a power of 2. Okay, so this has a base of 2 and a power of 6, base of 2, power of 4. 8, not the same. So we have to convert that to have a base of 2 with a power. So product of prime factors. So 8 as a product of prime factors is 2 to the power of 3. So that makes it easy for us because they all have the same base. We just add the powers. Okay, so that's 2 to the power of 3 plus 6 plus 4. Okay, you add that all together, that's 13. So you have 2 to the power of 13. Okay, question 7. Okay, in a group of 98 students, 25 study both art and French, 10 study art but do not study French, 41 study French. Joel draws this Venn diagram to represent the information. The group of 98 students, that's the whole. A equals the students who study art, F the students who study French. Made 2 criticisms of his diagram. First obvious criticism, no letters to represent the circles. Okay, which circle is art, which circle is French, we don't know. These letters have been added because this has been deduced from the information. 25 study both art and French, so that's the intersection. 10 study art but do not study French, so that means this is art. Okay, 41 study French. Okay, so 41 minus 25 would be those who study French but do not study art, which is 16, so that's correct. So that's French. But now, the rest of the group of the students who do not do art or French, that would be 98 minus 10, minus 25, and minus 16. And that gives 47. So that's wrong. So those are the 2 criticisms you can have of this diagram. No letters to represent which circle was art or which one was French. And secondly, the students outside art or French should be 47, not 48, as shown. Okay. Basically, the idea is to go through it yourself like the question was given to you. And that way, you'll find out what's wrong with it if you do it the right way. Comparing the right way to the wrong way, you find out what's wrong. Okay. Question 8. In a week, Samir is paid a basic hourly rate for the first 30 hours worked, an overtime hourly rate for any extra hours worked. The graph shows his pay for working up to 40 hours in a week. Work out the ratio, basic hourly rate, overtime hourly rate. Give your answer in its simplest form. Okay, from the graph, Samir is paid £700 for his 40 hours a week of work. 30 of those hours is basic pay. and after working 30 hours, he got paid £450. Okay, so his basic pay hourly rate is £450 divided by 30 hours of work, which is £15. Okay, total for 10 hours of work overtime pay, where did that come from? So, after 30 hours of work, he works up to 40 hours. So an extra 10 hours is overtime. Okay? Now, for that 10 hours of work, that's when it shoots up to 700. But 700 is not the overtime pay. It's 700 minus 450. That's where the 250 comes from for overtime pay. Okay? Now, to find the overtime pay hourly rate, that'll be 250 divided by the 10 hours worked, which is £25. Okay? So, basic hourly to overtime hourly rate, 15 to 25, reduced by 5, 3 to 5. Okay? Question 9. Okay. In each box, write a fraction less than 1 to make a correct calculation. A fraction less than 1, simply put, the denominator or bottom number has to be greater than the numerator or top number. So, at the top, 3 is a prime number, so the only number that will be multiplied to get 3, the simplest form, would be 1 and 3. And at the bottom, the 10, that would be 1 and 10, or 2 and 5. You wouldn't use 1 and 10, because then that would be 1 over 1. That's not less than 1, or 3 over 1. That's not less than 1. So, 2 over 5. Okay? A 5 goes here. 3 over 5 is less than 1. 1 over 2 is less than 1. And they both go together to make 3 over 10. Part B. In each box, write a decimal less than 1 to make a correct calculation. Okay. 0.2 times 0.3 will do the job. 0.1 times 0.6 will do the job as well. Okay? Convert that to a fraction and go from there. That's 6 over 100. Okay? So, 1 over 10, which is 0.1, times 6 over 10, which is 0.6, will give you 6 over 100, which is 0.06. 2 over 10 times 3 over 10, which is 0.2 times 0.3, will give you 6 over 100, which is 0.06. Okay? That's just the understanding of multiplication of decimals and fractions and how you convert between the both. Okay? Question 10. Use a ruler and compasses in this question. A, B, C, D represents a garden. A tree is to be planted in the garden. The tree will be in the region that is closer to AB than to BC. Label the region R where the tree could be planted. Show all your construction lines. Okay. Get your compass out. Open it to a suitable radius. That radius should not be bigger than BC and should not be bigger than AB. Okay? So it should be a length that's smaller than the length of BC and smaller than the length of AB. Okay? Put the sharp end of B and draw an arc. Okay? That arc has to cut AB and has to cut BC. Okay? Once you're done, don't change your compass. Put one sharp end of your compass, put the sharp end of your compass on the point where the arc cuts AB and draw another arc out here. Okay? Once you've done that, put the sharp end at BC. Don't change your compass opening. Okay? Put the sharp end where the arc cut BC as well, and draw another arc out here. Now where those two arcs intersect, okay, you draw a straight line from B all the way out, okay, to the line AD. Why AD? Because that's the extent of the garden, okay? We don't need it past that point, okay? Now, the side closer to AB is here. The side closer to BC is on this side. Because we want the tree planted closer to AB than to BC, this is the region R where we need to plant the tree. Okay, on this side. So, this is the side we need. Everything on this other side we don't need. Okay, so this is the region where the tree would be planted. Okay, all we did was bisect an angle. Okay, the angle of the point that joins AB and BC. Okay. Question 11. Okay, here are two shapes P and Q. P, 3/4 of a circle, radius 20 centimeters. Q, 1/3 of a circle, radius 15 centimeters. How many times bigger is the area of P than the area of Q? You must show your working. So, we find both areas first. The area of P, so the area of a whole circle is pi r squared, so pi times r times r. If there's 3/4 of a circle, so you just find 3/4 of that whole area. So that's 3/4 times pi times 20 times 20. So multiply 3 times 20 times 20, divide by 4, that gives you 300. And you leave it as 300 pi. Do it in terms of pi. Why? Because it's a non-calculator paper. Okay? The area of Q, 1/3 of a circle, radius 15 centimeters. So, if the whole area of the circle, radius 15, is pi times 15 times 15, the area of Q would be 1/3 of that. So, that's 1/3 times pi times 15 times 15. Which is 225 divided by 3, which is 75 pi. Okay? Or you can do 15 divided by 3, that's 5, times 15, 75, and then you add your pi. Okay? Now, to find how many times the area of P is bigger than the area of Q, that's area of P divided by the area of Q. That's 300 pi divided by 75 pi. Okay? That's 3 times 100. That's 25 times 3. Okay? Ends up just being 4. Okay? Area of P is 4 times bigger than the area of Q. Okay? Question 12. Okay. In a game, 2 bags A and B contain cards. Each card is marked yes or no. The table shows the number of each type of card in the bags. In the game, a player picks one card at random from each bag. The cards are then put back into the bags. Complete the tree diagram. So for bag A, there are total 5 cards in the bag. The number of yeses is 3, the number of no's 2. So probability of picking a yes card is 3 out of 5, or 3/5. The number of picking a no card is 2/5. For bag B, there are 10 cards in the bag. Number of a yes, or probability of a yes, is 1/10. Probability of a no is 9/10. So it's the same here as well, okay? Since the cards are always returned. Okay? Now, Part B says, to win a prize, a player must pick 2 cards marked yes. 450 people each play the game once. How many people are expected to win a prize? The probability of 2 yes cards, 3 over 5, times 1 over 10. A yes and a yes, which is 3 out of 50. That's the probability of 2 yes cards, which is expected to be a win. So out of 450 people, the expected wins is equal to 450 times 3 over 50, the probability of a win. And so that's 9 times 3, which is equal to 27 people. Where did I get the 9 from? 450 divided by 50, that's 9 times the 3, 27 people. Okay. Question 13. Okay, solve 2w over 15 is equal to 4 over 5. First thing to do is cross multiply. 2w times 5 is equal to 4 times 15. Okay, so that's 10w is equal to 60. Divide both sides by 10 to find the missing letter w, and w is equal to 60 divided by 10, w is equal to 6. Okay. Question 14. Okay. 15 workers can complete a job in 8 days. How many more workers are needed to complete the job in 6 days? Assume that all of the workers work at the same rate. So, I'm going to approach this as a proportionality question. In fact, inversely proportional. Because the workers represented with W and the completion time in days represented with D are inversely proportional. Okay? As the number of workers increases, the number of days to complete the job reduces. Okay? So, they're inversely proportional. Okay? So, which means W is equal to K, the constant that connects them, which is also the rate, divided by the number of days. Okay? So, if the work rate is the same, then we just need to find K. If whatever it is here, it'll be the same in this case as well. Okay? So K would be W times D. We have W, the number of workers, and we have the number of days to complete the job. Okay? So that's 15 times 8. That's 120. Okay? So, we do the same for 6 days. Since we know the rate that connects the workers to the number of days to complete the job, okay? And we have the formula all put together. We can find the number of workers required for 6 days. We put that in, that's 120 divided by 6, so that's 20 workers. But the question then asks how many workers it'll take to complete the job in 6 days. It said how many more workers. So we had 15 before, now we need 20. That means we need 5 more workers to complete the job. So 5 more workers are required. Okay. Question 15. Okay. The cross-section of a prism has n sides. Circle the expression for the number of faces of the prism. Okay, let's look at this prism down here. It's a triangular prism. It has 2 triangular faces, one at the front and one at the end. So that means it will always be plus 2. Okay? Now, the number of faces of this triangular prism is 5, which is 1, 2, 3 at the bottom, which means a face for each side of the triangle, and then the 2 faces as the cross-section, front and back, top and bottom, however it's placed. Okay? So, that's where we got that from, 5. So if the prism's cross-section has n sides, That means there'll be n faces for each side, and then the cross section would be at the top and at the bottom, which is an additional 2. So that's n plus 2. Okay? Question 16. Okay. Circle the letter of the possible sketch of y is equal to x cubed minus 4. Circled A. We'll go through the elimination method of how I did that. So, with the equation of the graph, when x is equal to 0, y is equal to minus 4. That means the graph should cut or intersect with the y-axis at one point below the x-axis. Okay? And when y is equal to 0, x is some cube root of 4. I don't know what cube root of 4 is without a calculator, but one thing I do know, it's going to give me one positive solution on the x-axis. Okay? Now, this C doesn't intersect with the y-axis below the x-axis. So that's out. D, same thing. So that's out. A and B do intersect with the y-axis below the x-axis, so at a negative point. But the difference is B produces, for when y is equal to 0, B produces two values of x, positive and negative. That's not the case from the equation of the graph. The equation of the graph produces only one positive solution of x, and that's the case. A negative solution for y, positive solution for x, 1. So, A is the most likely. Okay? Question 17. Okay. 75 people attend the clinic. Their ages are recorded and a cumulative frequency diagram is drawn. Okay? Understand your scales here. 60 to 70, that's 10. So there are 10 small squares. So for every small square move, that's 1. Okay? Here as well, same thing. 10 small squares. 40 to 50 is a 10 gap. So every small square, you move up by 1. Okay? So 10 divided by 10, that's what that is. Age of 10, square 10, you get the idea. Now, it says a nurse makes a statement about the ages of the people at the clinic. He says more than twice as many people are in their 60s as in their 50s. Is he correct? Tick a box and show working to support your answer. Okay, so the nurse's statement in mathematical terms, from my understanding, is if the number of people in their 50s is x and the number of people in their 60s is y, he's saying that y, which is the number of people in their 60s, is greater than 2 times the number of people in their 50s. That's what we need to check. So the number of people in their 50s, so that's 50 to 60. So at 60, number of people is 30. At 50, the number of people on the graph is 13. Okay? 2 below 15, so that's 13. So, number of people in their 50s is 30 minus 13, which is equal to 17. And for the number of people in their 60s, okay, missed an O there. Number of people in their 70s, that's just 1 above 65, that's 66. And people in their 60s, that's at 60, that's 30. Found that there. So 66 minus 30 for people in their 60s, that will be 36. Okay? So 2 times the number of people in their 50s, that's 2 times 17, which is 34. Okay? 36, number of people in their 60s, is greater than 2 times the number of people in their 50s. Okay? So yes, the nurse is right. Okay? Question 18. Okay. 12x cubed plus 7x squared plus 3x minus 10 plus 3 lines is similar to 2 bracket ax cubed plus x squared plus 2x minus 5 close bracket plus x bracket bx plus c close brackets. Work out the values of a, b, and c. First things first, we have to expand the right and simplify it. Okay, and then collect like terms. Okay, when we do that, we have 2ax cubed plus 2x squared plus 4x minus 10. And then we have plus bx squared plus cx. Okay, in this case, it has been expanded, simplified, and like terms collected. So bx squared put next to 2x squared because they're both x squared terms. And 4x and cx put next to each other because they're both x terms. Okay? So, in those cases, we factorize the x squared out. So 2 plus b is the coefficient of x squared as a whole, and 4 plus c is the coefficient of x as a whole. So now we just go by comparing and finding the letters. So the coefficient of x cubed is 12. In this case, it's 2a. And if they're similar, that's 2a is equal to 12. Divide both sides by 2. A is equal to 6. Make sure to enter it in the right slot. Okay? Next, we compare the x squared coefficient. So 2 plus b is equal to 7. Subtract 2 from both sides or carry 2 over and change the sign to a negative. You end up with b is equal to 5. Okay? Enter it within the right slot. And finally, the x coefficient. So 4 plus c, that's equal to 3. Subtract 4 from both sides or carry 4 over and change it to a negative sign. 3 minus 4 is equal to minus 1. So c is equal to minus 1 into the right slot. And you're good. Okay? Question 19. Okay. The first 3 terms of a sequence x, y, xy. The sequence is continued by multiplying the previous 2 terms. Circle the 5th term of the sequence. Okay. We need to find the 4th term first. So that's y times xy, that's xy squared. Now we multiply xy times xy squared. X times x will give you x squared. Y times y squared will give you y cubed. Okay, indices. So that'll be x squared, y cubed. Circled. Okay, part B. The 8th term of the sequence is x to the power of 8, y to the power of 13. The value of this term is negative. What does this mean about the values of x and y? Tick one box for each row. So they're saying if x and y were actual numbers, and those numbers were plugged in, that the 8th term would be negative. So what does this mean about the values of x and y? X could be either, and y would have to be negative for the 8th term to be negative. Why? Because x has a power that's an even number. When you raise a negative number to an even number as a power, it will always produce a positive number or a positive solution. So, take for example minus 2, raise it to the power of 2, raise it to the power of 4, to the power of 6, 8, 10, it will come out positive. Okay? But if you take minus 2, raise it to the power of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, any odd number, it will come out negative. So, it doesn't matter what sign x has, because it has an even number as a power, it will always be positive. But for y, it has to be negative because it's raised to an odd power. So when it's simplified, it will come out negative, which we need for our 8th term to be negative. Okay? Might be a lot of explanation there, but if you just take a single number, okay, any number, make x minus 3, make y minus 4, okay? See what happens when you put both of them in a calculator, even though this is not a calculator paper, okay? And you can do the same again, make x 3 and make y minus 4, okay? It would make no difference to the answer. Okay. Question 20. Okay. Rearrange y equals 5x plus 9 over x to make x the subject. Okay. When the subject is already in two places, okay, you need it to be in one place. You have to get it all to one side. Okay. So first thing we do, we flatten that, we cross multiply, okay, or multiply both sides by x. So we have xy is equal to 5x plus 9, okay? And so we get x anywhere it is, all to the same side. So we have xy minus 5x is equal to 9. So subtract 5x from both sides, or carry 5x over, and it changes to a negative sign as it moves over. So then we factorize x out, so that will be x bracket y minus 5 is equal to 9. So to get x as a subject, we divide both sides by y minus 5, and then we have x is equal to 9 over y minus 5, making x the subject. Okay. Question 21. Okay. 5 points are connected by vectors. Fg is equal to 2EH. Work out Fe in terms of A and B. Okay. Magnitude and direction is very important with vectors. So, first things first, we have this relationship, so let's use it. EH. Let's find EH. So, E to D plus D to H. That's equal to 4A plus 7B. Fg is equal to 2EH. So, 2 times 4A plus 7B, that's 8A plus 14B. Now, to find Fe, we have to go from F to G, then G to E. So that's Fg plus Ge. Okay? Now, we have E to G, as the direction shows, which is 2A plus 15B. That means G to E in the opposite direction turns all the signs the opposite. So that's plus 2A, that becomes minus 2A. That's plus 15B, that becomes minus 15B. Okay? So Fe would be equal to Fg, 8A plus 14B, minus 2A, which is Ge. So since you're adding, the signs don't change. So Ge, which is this, minus 2A minus 15B, which is 6A, 14B minus 15B, that's minus B. So Fe is equal to 6A minus B. Okay? Question 22. Okay, work out 0.68 recurring minus 0.45 recurring. Give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. Okay, so we convert 0.68 recurring to a fraction. Okay, so that's the process right there, and we end up with 62 out of 90. Okay, we do the same thing for 0.45. We say let x equals 0.4, and we spread out the number that's recurring, the 5. Because there's only one number recurring, we multiply by 10, so we say 10x. That would be equal to 4.5 that's recurring, and then x is just 0.4 and 5 recurring. When we subtract equation 2 from equation 1, 10x minus x, that's 9x. 4.5 recurring minus 0.45 recurring, you end up with just 4.1 because the 5's go, just that bit that remains, so it's 4.1. Divide both sides by 9, you get x is equal to 4.1 over 9. Multiply top and bottom by 10, same as x is equal to 41 over 90, which is the same process that was carried out here. So now you have the fraction for both of them. So you just subtract 62 over 90 minus 41 over 90. Since the denominator, which is the bottom number, is the same, okay, you just subtract the top, which is just 21 over 90. Reduced by common factor of 3, 7 divided by 30. Okay, this whole process is a long way around as well, because you could have just subtracted, and you would find that the answer for that as a decimal was 0.23 recurring. Okay, and then you can use this process to convert that to the fraction, and which you're gonna get 7 over 30 as your final answer. So you can either go this route or subtract first and then use this conversion method to get it to a fraction and simplify. Okay. Question 23. Okay. On the grid, identify the region represented by x is greater than 3 and y is greater than 1 and x plus y is less than or equal to 7. Label the region R. So we start with x is greater than 3. Okay, so we draw the line of x is equal to 3 first, which is that line there. Okay, so for every value of y, x is equal to 3. Okay, and then because it's greater than 3, not greater than or equal to, that line needs to be dashed. It needs to be a broken line, not a whole solid line. Okay, now to pick the region, it says it has to be greater than 3. So the region we don't want is less than 3. That's to the left. Okay, so we shade that off. Okay, with those lines there. So we know we don't want that side from that line. We move to the next one. Y is greater than 1. Okay, so that means for every value of x, y is always equal to 1. So that's the horizontal line at y is equal to 1. Because it's greater than 1, not greater than or equal to, that line has to be broken as well. And the region we want is greater than 1. So that's above. That's where y is greater than 1. So the part we don't want, we shade off. Okay? And for the last one, x plus y, to draw the line, we make it equal to, so x plus y is equal to 7. So when x is 0, y is 7, and when y is 0, x is 7. So we have those 2 points. Since it's a straight line, we just join those 2 points together, and that's the straight line of x plus y is equal to 7. Now, to represent this, x plus y is less than or equal to 7. First thing, because it's less than or equal to, that will remain a solid line. Okay? Now, it says it wants less than or equal to. So greater than is above the line. Okay? Or equal to 7 is above the line. Less than is below. Okay? Remember how you represent this equal to is if it's a solid line. If it's a broken line, you know it's greater than or less than without the equal to attached. Okay? So, from that, we know that's the region. Okay? So, we shaded that off, we shaded the bottom off, and we shaded that area off. So that triangle there is the region R. Okay? Question 24. Okay, 24a. Simplify fully 6 over a minus 11 over 4a. Okay, so because we want to make the denominators, the bottom numbers, the same, so we can just simply subtract the top. So that's 4a, so we multiply the bottom there by 4 to make that 4a, and what we do to the bottom there, we have to do to the top, so we multiply the top 2 by 4. So 24 over 4a is the same as 6 over a, okay, minus 11 over 4a. So, same bottom number or expression, so we just subtract the top, 24 minus 11, that's 13, all over 4a, so that's just 13 over 4a. Okay, as for part B, simplify fully y squared minus 3y in brackets times y squared plus 10y plus 21 all over y squared minus 9. Okay, factorizing all the way around. So y squared minus 3y, factorize that to y bracket y minus 3. Y squared plus 10y plus 21 factorizes to y plus 3, y plus 7. Okay, and then y squared minus 9, difference of two squares, factorizes to y plus 3, y minus 3. Okay, so all you need is just to cancel out. Y plus 3 cancels out y plus 3 for 1 and 1. Y minus 3 cancels out y minus 3 for 1 and 1. Remember, it's top against bottom. So all that's left is y bracket y plus 7. So you can leave it like that, or you can simplify further, opening the bracket to say y squared plus 7y. Okay? Question 25. Okay, here is the speed time graph for a 50-second journey. Circle the acceleration in meter per second squared halfway through the journey. Halfway through the journey of a 50-second journey is about 25 seconds. Okay? At that point, if you look at that, within that range, there is no change in speed. An acceleration is a change in speed or change in velocity with time. If there is no change, okay, then acceleration is 0. Also, acceleration can be found by the gradient of a speed-time graph. At the midpoint of the journey, the speed-time graph is a flat line, which means the gradient is 0. Okay? So acceleration is 0. Part B, work out the total distance traveled. Total distance traveled from the speed-time graph is the area under the speed-time graph. Okay? So, that's a trapezium. So I've just gone for the whole thing. So it's half A, that length is 40 minus 10, plus B, that's 50, times the height, which is 20. And that's 80 times 20, half of that is 10, so 80 times 10 is 800 meters. Okay? If you don't want to think about the area of trapezium, break it down into a triangle at the start, 10 by 20, rectangle, 30 by 20, and a triangle at the end again. Okay? Make sure you use the accurate area of a triangle, which is half base times height. Okay? And a rectangle, which is just base times height. Okay? You should get the same answer. Okay? Question 26. Okay. Zoe and Amy are playing a board game. They each have one disc and take turns to roll a fair, ordinary dice. The players move their disc clockwise the number of spaces shown on the dice. The winner is the first player whose disc is on home at the end of a turn. Here is the board after Amy's turn. Work out the probability that Zoe wins within her next 2 turns. So, for Zoe to win on her next 2 turns, she needs a 3. Okay? So, the possibilities of her doing that, okay, come with this. She rolls a 2 and a 1, or she rolls a 1 and a 2, or she rolls a 3 on her first go, and the game is over. Okay? So the probability of her rolling a 2 is 1 out of 6, and a 1 times 1 over 6. Or, plus, roll a 1, that's 1 out of 6, and multiply a 2 on a pair of dice, that's 1 out of 6. Or, add, roll a 3, that's 1 over 6. So multiply that, 1 over 36 plus 1 over 36 plus 1 over 6. To make all the denominators the same, to make the addition easy, multiply the top and the bottom of this one by 6. 6 over 36 is the same as 1 over 6 when simplified, so we just add the top. So 1 plus 1 plus 6, that's 8 over 36. You can reduce or not. By 4, you get 2 over 9. Okay. Question 27. Okay. The grid shows the graph of y is equal to f of x. On the grid, draw the graph of y equals minus f of x. That simply means a reflection in the x-axis. Okay? Which means now every value of y that you have for y equals f of x, for the same x value, is now multiplied by minus 1. So for example, here, where you have this value of x giving you 3, it would then give you same value of x, would then give you minus 3. The value of x, which is 0, that gives you 1, would now give you minus 1. The y value here is 0, so it will just remain 0. Y value here is 0, which is 0, will remain 0. Now the x value here, that gives you this y value between 0.6 and 0.8, that same x value will now give you a positive value of y, because multiplied by minus 1. Okay? Same thing here. The value of x here, that gives you a y value of 3. Now, the same x value here would give you a value of minus 3 as well. And if you do that for every single point, okay, you would get a quality shape, not this rickety shape I've got here, that looks exactly like that, but reflected in the x-axis. Okay, so that's the idea. But it's 2 marks. You can't be perfectly accurate, but you can be close enough where you show that you really understand what you're doing. And this, stating this, would go a long way in doing that, as well as drawing the graph. Okay? Question 28, and the final question of the paper. Okay. Work out the value of cos 30 times sine 45 times tan 60, all in brackets, squared. So, cos 30, you're meant to know this, is equal to root 3 over 2. Sine 45 is 1 over root 2, which is the same as root 2 over 2. And tan 60 is equal to root 3. So when you multiply all 3 of them, root 3 times root 3 is just 3. So that's 3 over root 2 at the top, and 2 times 2 at the bottom, which is 4. You square all of that. 3 squared, 9. Root 2 squared, That's 2, so that's 9 times 2, and 4 squared, 16. So 2 here, 1, 2 here, 8. So you end up with 9 over 8. Okay? And we're done. Remember, I always leave you with this. Past papers are not the starting point for your learning process to get you to where you want to go. The process you need to be following is to go through every single topic of your scheme, okay? And make sure you understand the topic, and then solve every question you can find on the topic, simple and difficult. Okay? Once you have done that and you effectively understand the topic and can solve difficult questions on the individual topics, then you can move on to past papers. Even then, you're going to struggle at first, but once it is broken down and explained to you by a teacher or a tutor, you'll be able to understand. Okay? And then, with repeated solving of the past paper, you get used to how to solve, break down into individual topics a whole past paper question, and then, from there, gravy. Okay? That's all I have to say for now, folks. Until next time. Bye.